I'm gonna tell you a story. But the first thing you have to understand is time doesn't work the way you think it does. Welcome to the call. You can call me Oracle, because I'm the one who's talking to you. So, this is a quick little thing about effigies. What is an effigy, you ask? Well, I brought up this. It's pretty mangled, right? This is what can happen if you need to, you know, take something out on something and, like, don't even really have something you need to take out on, like, a real person. Effigies are really useful for that. You know why? Because it allows you to be actually violent with something that can't feel, and you know it can't feel. It allows you to be, like, actually vicious in a way that's not going to hurt anyone. And if you do it right, you know what you're doing. Yes, this is violent. Yes, this is an expression of rage. Yes, this is uniquely human in a very... We are... Human beings are animals. Like, in a very... In an actual literal sense. We need food. We need to sleep. Like, our brains are incredibly complex. That's not to undersell the complexity of other brains of other animals. Like, there are very, very intelligent animals that have very complex brains. But even though our brains are very complex, that doesn't necessarily mean we use them necessarily well. And it doesn't necessarily mean that things that have very simple brains can't be clever, intelligent, and even more connected to their environment than we are. Because we have a tendency as humans to try to control our environment in a way of shaping it towards what we want it to be, as opposed to just living as a part of it, which I know some people do one or the other. Modern society in the Tantra Yuga and the computer age, like, it's who can really just like go out in the woods and just live there. Like a lot of I live in New England. I'm not saying where in New England, but I live in New England, and like there's a lot of countryside in New England. A lot of people are just like, I want to be left alone. I want to live off the grid. But like, unless you're in like some deep parts of Maine, some spots in New Hampshire, a couple places in Vermont, um, very few places in Massachusetts, but there are a couple of them. Like, there are places where you can be relatively off grid, but like, it's hard to be like off the grid. Like, especially like in the age of the cloud. Now, admittedly, like, a lot of that data is not really in a cloud per se. It's, on the transatlantic and transpacific data lines going back and forth between servers in like China and Japan, and then back over to Europe, and then just like bouncing around the world. And that's actually where the cloud is. But there's a lot of information that's just sort of constantly being broadcast. Like, we live in a constant like cloud of information that we can't see, but it's there. Like, we're going through Wi-Fi zones constantly. A lot of us carry Wi-Fi zones on us. Like, our phone is like effectively, like I mentioned the Akashic field in another video. Like, we basically are constantly touching the Akashic field, not just with ourselves, but we have like another access to the Akashic field, just like carrying a phone with us all the time. I mean, heck, like our radio in our car, it's electronic. Hell, our car, electronic, connects to the field. It just does, whether we acknowledge that or not. So, but on the subject of effigies, an effigy is, like Burning Man. Burning Man is an effigy burn. Like, it's specifically to basically represent, in Burning Man's case, like something evil, like someone basically abusing power, as near as I can tell. Something big and imposing that needs to be big, and burning it to get rid of it. Fire cleanses all, so to speak. But it's an interesting Sanskrit term that I found, which is pistapasu, which is having like basically a doe effigy that is supposed to be a sacrificial animal. So I made a bunch of them out of animal crackers because I thought that made sense to me. Because that's the kind of person Marco is. I said, nope. If any of the fireflies see this, I, it's Oracle. From the dust, back to the dust. Ash to ashes and dust to dust. Yeah, that's another thing, by the way, that, a reminder that even though I'm a Buddhist monk, I'm totally down. And, like, I mean it respectfully, I'm completely down with a loss and ash to ash and dust to dust. Because, people die. That's how it is. Both of my parents are dead in ashes. It's rough. But, you know, I lost my mom the day before Valentine's Day in 2022. That was not fun, to put it lightly. But I also wrote a book that's essentially about, you know, the cats that I had when I was growing up and losing one that like I had since like for all of my life. And it was, you know, it's essentially a reincarnation story, but like at the end. But still, like, you know, grieving is something that no one's really like taught how to do. And that's, nor is like really channeling rage in a way that's acceptable, nor is understanding like, I guess I should bring up that like it's effigies can be used in a lot of ways. They can be used positively, they can be used negatively. Like you can make an effigy to express rage. You can use have an effigy to express respect, like burning an effigy filled with leaves for a lost corpse. That is something to help a ghost reach peace. That's also an interesting thing about my tradition. It was like Buddha Paul was the guy who anyone who went to Awakening Spirit in like early mid 2000, like 2004 to 2006, and met Buddha Paul. Yeah, I'm one of Buddha Paul's. So, to the two young ladies who initiated at the same time as me. Hi, what's up? It's been a while. It's been a wild 7 years or so. Hope you all are both doing good. But during that initiation, which I can share mine, I don't know if I actually have, but I will. But I will not share what the other two were told though. But we were all told something by Buddha Paul during our initiation, and because I was told mine, I'm going to take the same approach as taken by Carlos Castaneda when he was writing his books. Like he was initiated with other people, and he talked about his journey. I think he was actually told specifically by his initiator that he was allowed to, but he does not talk about the other one. So I ain't gonna talk about the other twos. But I was told that, you know, the master of all kung fu, who I take to be Wing Chun, liked me very much and was like, "Don't fight." I was like, "Yes, okay, I can deal with that." That's essentially an initiation that came with a vow. I didn't like say, "I promise you, Wing Chun, I won't fight." I didn't say that. But I was told essentially that if like I accepted that into like my soul, into my deep outline, then you know, it's like taking a vow, but not. Like I think I actually literally took a vow at a soul level, but like don't really feel like I've had to. If that makes sense. I mean, like not, especially not in a physical way. But essentially, it was like, you know, that was the thing. It's like try not to fight, try not to like start shit, try not to start anything, and things will be okay. And if you need to have a sacrificial animal, just make sure you have some piece de pazu. It actually specifically says sacrificial animal, so like I think it's partially to be able to replace older customs where a goat would be sacrificed to appease the gods. I think that's partially what it exists for. There's also another one that's also made of flour to represent inauspicious nights. So like if you ever have a night that's like the worst, you could make yourself like a Pillsbury Doughboy about the person who's like the person who made that night terrible, and then say like, all right, this is my effigy of this person as a, and not just the person but the night that they were just absolute trash, and then and feel better about it. It's an interesting thing about magic is a large part of it is an understanding of psychology and like understanding what will help people feel better, if that makes sense. Especially in terms of like rituals that are designed to be like cleansing, cathartic, and healing. So like part of the reason I did the you know reversing spells thing is you know this stuff is it's cool, it's nice to know, but it's really supposed to like do stuff. I mean like when you talk to someone who's like, oh, I'm into magic, right? Cool. You can know a lot of stuff about it. But what do you actually do with it? I mean, it's partially why I started making these videos. Because I was like, I know this stuff, but what am I actually doing with it? Nothing. I'm not doing anything with it. And so, here I am. Talking about Pista Padu. Having having Pachamrita on YouTube. So for now, this is Oracle. Dream safely, everyone.